Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel for another pregnancy update. Today is Saturday, October 26th, which means that I am now 16 weeks pregnant. I'm gonna go ahead and share all my symptoms and stats with you guys and let you know what the baby is up to. So on my Pregnancy Plus app, this is what the baby currently looks like. And it says that the baby is approximately 5 inches and just under 5 ounces. And then on my Bump app, it says that the baby's also roughly the size of an avocado, which is kind of funny because I feel like last week and the week before, like the things that they were comparing the baby's size to was bigger than an avocado, but maybe they mean like the giant avocados. Because I've seen some avocados that are like this big and then some that are like this big. So probably, I would assume that it's probably referring to the bigger ones. But some quick stats that the Bump app has given me in my email says that baby is now listening to my voice thanks to the tiny bones forming in his or her ears. Baby is growing hair, lashes, and eyebrows, and baby is forming taste buds. So that is everything that the baby is up to this week, and now we'll just go ahead and jump into how I have been feeling lately. First things first, this week I weighed in at 126.4 pounds, which is awesome because that's about a pound more than last week, which I don't think is an actual pound of weight gain. I honestly think it's probably partly because we had like really huge burgers for dinner last night. So I'm assuming that's part of the reason that I went up a little bit on the scale, but it doesn't matter either way. I'm hoping that this just means that I'm finally starting to gain a little bit of weight since I haven't technically gained any weight yet. So that's good. And as far as my symptoms have gone this past week, I don't have a ton of symptoms, but I do have like a couple like kind of random things that happened this past week. And the first random thing that I experienced was that I got like, I mean, I've been craving things here and there. Just like at night, like I'm really craving like Dove dark chocolate and like Wendy's chocolate Frosties. And I craved chocolate Frosties so much when I was pregnant with Anastasia. Like we had Frosties at least once a week minimum when I was pregnant with her because we had a Wendy's like right next to us. So I would always get Frosties and fries like in my 3rd trimester as like a weekly treat. But I haven't really had like a huge major craving that just like struck me out of nowhere. But this week, randomly, I got such an intense craving completely out of nowhere. I wasn't even doing anything related to food or even thinking about food, but I just had like the urge to eat blueberry pancakes from Cracker Barrel. And I don't even know if they make blueberry pancakes, honestly. I have just had pancakes from Cracker Barrel and I know what blueberry pancakes taste like. So I'm assuming that Cracker Barrel's version of blueberry pancakes is probably amazing, but oh my gosh, just like out of nowhere, it hit me and all I wanted was that. And I didn't end up having it because we don't even really have one near us. I think the closest Cracker Barrel is like 20 minutes. It was just very kind of like bizarre because I've never really just had like a craving just like come completely out of the blue like that. Another thing that I started to notice this week was that on my neck, I don't know if you guys can really see it or not, they're kind of healing, but I got like 3 or 4 like big pimples, and I know that's gross, but it just, they came out of nowhere. And like I've said before, if you guys have watched my other videos on basically anything, at some point or another I've talked about how I've struggled with acne in the past, and I still kind of struggle with it. It's not as bad as it was when I was a teenager and I had to be on like medication for it and stuff like that, but I still don't have clear, perfect skin by any means, like not even close to that. But I never really get acne on my neck, and I got like just a couple, like 1 or 2 on each side of my neck, and they weren't just like small little pimples, they were like big red painful pimples, and like that has never happened to me. And if you've ever tried to get a pimple on your neck, like pop a pimple on your neck, the skin on your neck is so sensitive and it hurts so bad. So even if you don't mess with it, just having a pimple there is so uncomfortable. I also noticed this week that I have been feeling so much more like cranky and moody and just annoyed by everything. And it's a pretty common symptom of pregnancy, and I try not to like let it define my mood or my outlook for the day. But I have just noticed that like I don't have the patience for anything. I'm just getting aggravated easily. I don't want to do anything. My motivation is lower. I just feel like blah. Like I just feel like a potato sack, and I just want to like sit in a dark room and not do anything or talk to anyone. And I've noticed it too, like when Johnny says or does certain things, like a lot of the times, like, because I feel like when you're married, like you can choose to like make arguments out of basically anything if you want to, but we don't really argue. And that's just not how we are. And I've just noticed that over the past like week or so, like Johnny, like he will just be living his life, and I'm just like, can you not breathe like that? And it's just such a stupid thing to like get aggravated with. Just so it bothers me more than it should and normally would. And it's just, I know it's me being crazy and pregnant, but yeah, I have definitely noticed that this week. I've also noticed this week that my anxiety has come back again, and I don't typically suffer from anxiety, like true, honest anxiety, like in my day-to-day life. I used to have anxiety a few years ago, anxiety and depression a few years ago, and I was actually taking Prozac, and that helped a lot with it. But ever since then, like, because I started taking Prozac right before I got pregnant with Anastasia, maybe like a month or two, and when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't take it anymore. And since then I haven't taken it, and I haven't needed to. I've just felt better and more like myself since then. So I don't really struggle with depression or anxiety anymore, but I've just noticed that ever since I've been pregnant this time around, I'll just get random pangs of anxiety and just worry about like everything. Like this past week, I was starting to get worried about, like, you know, having the house ready in time for the new baby, and like adding the baby to our insurance, and all those like little details that are so minute and stressful about having like a baby or any kind of life change, like moving or getting a new car, just like all these little things that like no one really talks about, but that can be so taxing and stressful and just like cause your day-to-day life to be like shaken up a little bit until you like figure all these things out. I hope that makes sense what I'm trying to say. I want to make sure that everything is like set in place and we'll be good to go when the baby gets here, and we're not trying to figure out things with like health insurance or birth certificates or like, you know, who's gonna watch who while we're gone to the hospital, like just things like that, like logistical things I've had some anxiety about. And I know that first of all, we have a lot of time to figure these things out, and second of all, they will get figured out. It's just for some reason it's been hitting me hard this week. Another symptom that I have had this week is nausea, and I haven't had it as bad as I did in the very beginning of my pregnancy, where I just felt like car sick all day pretty much for like 3 or 4 weeks. No, probably longer than that, probably like 5 or 6 weeks in the very beginning of my pregnancy, and it hasn't been like that, but I would say for the past couple of weeks I haven't really experienced much nausea at all. And this past week it just started like popping up again. Like I woke up one morning, and I am not someone who goes through a fast food drive-through like ever. I hardly ever do that. I think we've had fast food maybe like 4 times since the past 6 months, if that. But I am trying to be more relaxed with myself as far as my diet goes when I am pregnant, because I stressed out so much about my diet when I was pregnant with Anastasia, and it was just like, it was really unnecessary. Like I was perfectly healthy. I gained like the perfect amount of weight and just things like that. And I would get so like anxious about eating things that weren't broccoli or chicken and things like that. And truly and honestly, as long as you're making healthy choices as much and as often as you can, it's really not a big deal. And as long as you're not like binging on a tub of ice cream every single night and not drinking any water, you're probably fine. But anyways, getting back to the point, I was feeling nauseous this week, and the only thing that I was craving one morning when I woke up that didn't make me want to puke was a breakfast sandwich from McDonald's. And I tried to talk myself out of it while I was getting ready for the day. Like I was putting my makeup on and getting dressed. I was like, I don't need it, I don't need it, but I'm gonna see if I still want it by the time I'm done getting ready, then I'll go get something. So it didn't change. I tried to convince myself to have oatmeal, and I just couldn't do it. So I went through the McDonald's drive-thru, and I got their Egg White Delight McMuffin, which is actually a very balanced choice for a breakfast. It was like less than 250 calories, and it had a really good amount of protein, and I had an ice water, and it was perfect. And that helped my nausea so much. Because I've been craving breakfast sandwiches so much, I decided to get multi-grain English muffins, and I always have egg whites in the refrigerator, so I have egg whites, and then I also have just cheese and turkey sausage, and I've started making them myself at home, and they're so good. It satisfies my craving for like a fast food breakfast sandwich, and I'm not spending extra money that I don't need to be spending, and it's definitely a healthier option to make them myself than to keep going through like Starbucks or McDonald's or anything like that. I also noticed this week that, especially like I'm experiencing it right now, like my back pain, and I've been having back pain since I think like 6 or 7 weeks pregnant, and it's just, it hurts so bad. It honestly feels like someone just needs to crack my back, but it's like my really low back, like right above my tailbone, and it's just so uncomfortable. Like it hurts to bend over, it hurts to just like sleep and things like that. It's not very comfortable, and from what I've heard and from what I've talked to my doctor about, they just said it's really common, especially with your like second and third and so on pregnancies. It's just something that happens. It's your ligaments loosening up and hormones and all of that stuff. And I never really experienced back pain until like the very end of my pregnancy with my daughter, but this time around it happened almost immediately, and it's been rough this week. And on top of the back pain, I've also been experiencing kind of like just like dull cramping in my uterus, and I haven't been like having any bleeding or like serious like cramping to where I can't breathe or talk, or I'm like hunched over or anything like that. It's just like really dull cramping, and I'm almost positive that it's because my uterus is growing and like things are just like getting bigger and making room. So I'm assuming it's from that, but it's been tough to deal with that this week. Okay, and the last thing that I'm going to talk about is extremely probably the most TMI thing I've ever talked about on any of my pregnancy updates. But the more I was reading about it and talking to other women, like this is a super common symptom, and I almost wasn't going to talk about it because it's kind of embarrassing and it's kind of gross to a lot of people who aren't like comfortable with their bodies. But I'm gonna put my pride aside and talk about it because, again, it's very normal, and more people probably experience this than they say. They just don't want to talk about it or admit to it. But this week I have been dealing with a hemorrhoid, and usually when you get pregnant, you don't get hemorrhoids until the end of your pregnancy from all the pressure, or when you're pushing, like during labor, when you're pushing the baby, which is kind of funny because I never got the chance to even try pushing. So my hemorrhoid isn't from that, but the very last week that I was pregnant with my daughter Anastasia, I got one hemorrhoid, and I've never had one before, and I thought I was gonna die. It was so hard for me to walk. Like, she was putting so much pressure down into my bottom that like I got a hemorrhoid from that, and I was in so much pain. I couldn't walk. It hurt to sit, like, and this was right before I had her. And again, I didn't go into labor on my own, but I just feel like my body was like ready for her to come out because of all the pressure that she was putting down there. So I got a hemorrhoid from that, and then after I gave birth, I didn't really have an issue with it. And I've noticed that this week I'm starting to like notice it again. It's not really like hurting per se, I just noticed that it's like there again. So I've just been using Preparation H and just drinking a lot of water, which I always do, but that's pretty much all you can really do. And if like you have like any serious ones, you can always go to the doctor and get them like removed, or like I said, you can use Preparation H, or you can use witch hazel pads. And I think some people also use like stool softeners and stuff like that to help them, but mine isn't that serious, at least not yet. So I'm just using Preparation H when I start to notice that it's just like kind of bothering me a little bit, but that is like a very sexy pregnancy symptom that I have had over the past week. So that is going to be it for my 16-week pregnancy update, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And don't forget to leave me a comment down below letting me know if you are expecting, or if you just remember some of the symptoms that you had when you were pregnant, because I really do enjoy talking to a lot of you guys in the comments. So make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and stick around for the next couple of seconds to see my 16-week belly shot. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.
Wildest dream, I'd see you again. Never dreamed about nothing else other than you. I always thought I'd be waiting in vain, but suddenly there you were. Never thought it'd be easy to feel you in my arms, but now we're here and I'm all in, and I wanna buy you, 'cause I can stay till the morning, or stay till the dawn.